Hey guys, we're back. So there is I guess it's a new AI system being integrated with New York State's DMV. And this is a throwback to the RAISE Act. We did a episode a couple of months ago regarding the RAISE Act, which had to do with AI restrictions. The state legislature had wrote a bill and voted in favor of a number of restrictions for AI, which would, help to keep it under control. They put it before Governor Hochul to sign, and she pushed back. Uh, she wanted it lightened up a little bit, like some of those restrictions lifted. And now we kind of know why. So Neil has some information regarding a new AI system that's going to be integrated with the DMV. And Neil, could you kind of explain to our audience what's going on here?
So, just so everybody knows my background, I'm a former councilman here in the town of Walk Hill. And basically, I go to these trainings every year, and I went to the training to learn about the new DMV rules. Okay. And it was very, very interesting, right? So here in New York State, basically what they did is they decriminalized some of the traffic violations, right? And they basically turned the entire point system over to the DMV. Seems pretty innocuous, right? Like it was all under what is called the DMV Modernization Project. Okay. Now, anybody who's been to the DMV in New York would absolutely be like, DMV modernization? Hell yeah. All right. Like, we'd all be for modernizing the DMV, right? Because anybody who's been to the DMV knows, right? It's a complete and utter mess. And it's not the people's fault. The people do a great job there. The people who work the DMV are absolutely fantastic. They have antiquated systems, right? I mean, we've all complained, like you get to the DMV window and they're like, "Oh, I have to click into this screen and then this screen." And then it's like,
My
"Oh, my
computer's
computer
slow.
crashed or my computer's slow." Right? I mean, like it's an absolute wreck. Okay? So, you know, basically what happened was that I believe over the past year or 2 years, they decided to do this DMV modernization project. Okay? They spent a lot of money on it. Okay? All the traffic cameras are going to be linked to it. The DMV is going to be linked to it. It's basically AI. Everything is going to be handed over to AI. So your driver's history will be given over to AI. All of the traffic cameras are going to be given over to AI. Your DMV profile, which has your picture in it, it also is going to have facial recognition software. So now it has the ability, right? Because now it has access to your DMV records. It has the ability to identify you when you're driving, right? Because now it can match it up to your picture at the DMV. Um, so
More
basically what
surveillance.
Right. And so basically what they're trying to do, and then they revamp the point system. Okay. Now points are no longer going to be issued by a judge. Okay. Or automatically based on whatever, right? So the DMV now has control of the point system, the entirety, and it's all turned over to the hands of AI. So basically what AI is going to do, you get a traffic infraction. Okay. And, you say you get a speeding ticket. Okay. What it does is it now looks at not only the speed that you were going, right, which it was all it looked at before. Now what it does is it looks at your driver profile, creates a driver profile based on the traffic cameras, based on your driver's history, based on everything, and then it'll assign you a point value based on the profile it creates for you. Yeah. Yeah. That
Wow.
was the
That
face. That
so
was the
so
face. I knew it was going to hit you like that.
now, for me with a legal background, it's basically, a point system is a punishment for violating a traffic infraction, a moving violation, speeding,
Right.
running a
Right.
stop sign, running a red light. And so generally when it comes to being receiving a punishment or be you have to be you have to go to court, be charged, and then right? And,
Yeah, you still go to court. You still go to court. The
but the
court
AI is
will
the one making the decision.
the AI is only making the decision for the point value, right, that you are assigned. That's it.
But they're now going to bring in all of your driver history and
Yes. So if you go, so you're going to court to make a determination of guilt or not guilty, right? That's your determination. So the judge, so say you go in, you plea, say, okay, I'm gonna say speeding 5 miles an hour over the speed limit versus 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. That's my plea. You get a fine, you go pay your fine. The point value then assigned to you based on what you pled to, what ends up getting put in the system, will be determined by the AI at the DMV.
not based on everybody who's, let's say, who gets, 20 points over would get used to get the same point value. 20 miles
Yeah,
over
no,
equals this
they're
much.
it's now within a range. AI can now assign to you within a range. And here's the interesting part, okay? So it even gets more interesting when you start looking at, right? So I forgot what the point value used to be, but now if you get 11 points, right, you automatically lose your license, okay? Now, interestingly enough about that 11 points, okay, is your license isn't suspended. You lose it entirely.
It's revoked,
It's revoked. Okay. Now,
and that's for a longer period of time than it used to be, correct?
yes, yes. And it gets even more interesting when you look at what the judges, so the judges have now been given a card, okay, that when you plea or you do your thing in court, at the end of that they have to read the card, and it basically says that the DMV will assign you points based on the number of points that you've accumulated, right? If it so this is so it's based on the number of points, right? So in other words, you could already have points, right? And then you add more points, and now you're at the 11 point level. If you reach whatever the point level is, which I think is 11, right? They say you can have a revocation of your license, right? Gets better. You could lose your voting rights.
Say what?
Yeah.
Okay, keep going, keep going, keep going.
Or and you can lose your immigration status. You can lose your citizenship.
So basically, this is just another tie-in to going into ICE. For you to lose immigration status and to lose voting rights, is there a connection between this system and the DHS? That's my question.
Well, so that right. So that was right. So I'm listening to this in training, right? I'm listening to this and I'm saying to myself, there's got to be, right, like now I know that there's a tie-in, right? So here in New York, it was very interesting. So the company that is doing the AI that the DMV is contracted with is called Fast Enterprises. So I forgot the guy's name. It's some billionaire, right?
I'll look that up for you right now while you're
Radner,
talking.
Radner,
Radner, that's it, Radner.
Radner. Yeah. So he owns the company. Okay, so he does have some contracts with ICE and DHS. But the other side of that as well, right, is that DHS has access to those programs through their partnerships with local law enforcement. Okay. So like here in Orange County, we have, and I know this is all throughout New York, you have something called the Safe Streets program, right? Which is where local law enforcement work with um the FBI on gang related activity, right? Drugs, gang related activity
Right.
within your community.
Okay.
It's been a very successful program for many, many years, right? But now you start thinking about the new DMV system that they're putting in place and the fact that the FBI are being retasked with immigration stuff right now. All of a sudden, is that system being used to target immigrants, right? Like here in New York, we haven't
Mhm.
had what they have in Minnesota. And right, and they've been doing more targeted enforcement. So the question becomes is do they have access to that system, right?
Okay.
You know, and do they have access through their own partnerships with fast enterprises, or through these local partnerships like Safe Streets and the Drug Task Force, okay, where they're working with the FBI? So, like, again, I don't know the answers to these questions. These are questions that I ask. These are questions that I think every person should be asking. And the real concern is, if AI is creating these driver profiles, the DMV has everything on us. Okay?
Mhm.
You start thinking about what this AI could generate and could be. I mean, and so I kind of did some, top level research, and you have DiNapoli saying that the proper safeguards and proper protocols were not put in place for this thing, right? And then you start thinking about what it could be used for. They're creating driver profiles for every single person in New York State,
Yeah.
okay?
Yep.
They know through facial recognition and through traffic cameras, they can now track you every single place that you go,
And
whether
this
you
has
have
been
your
done.
phone or don't have your phone, right? The DMV has everything. You think about the information you provide your DMV. They know your car, they know your license plate, they know your social security number, they have your driver's ID, they have your picture, they have your address.
And now this explains exactly why Hochul pushed back on the Raise Act and had some things stripped out, because maybe the Raise Act would have restricted a lot of what is happening with fast enterprises. By the way, the owner is billionaire Mark Rankin, R-A-N-K-K-I-N,
Rankin, yes, sir.
Rankin. Yep, Mark
Rankin.
Rankin.
And listen, again, I'm not saying anything nefarious against these people, but technology is great and it can be used to help us in our daily lives in many different ways. But what we've been seeing with this administration is a bastardization of that, is the
Yes.
idea that they're stripping away our Fourth Amendment rights, okay, because it's convenient, right? It's convenient for them. It's not necessarily helping our lives, right? But it's convenient for them, and it allows them more control over us, okay? And again, not trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist or a
Yeah,
QAnon
but
or
that's what
anything
it's
like
about.
that, but like, we're seeing this in real time. This is George Orwell type stuff. This is 1984. Okay? This isn't me like being like some paranoid guy in a bunker with a gun, right? Like, you know, I don't do anything wrong. It's fine. But again, that doesn't mean that they're not coming after me tomorrow because I have a podcast and they
Right,
don't like what I have to
right.
say. Okay? So, like, we have to we all need to like take a step back. It's great to say, "Hey, we can do this thing," but we also need to be saying, "Well, should we do this thing?"
That's the question. So what do you
I've
think,
gotten that
guys?
out. So now, please tell me your thoughts on that, on this whole thing.
You heard it. I mean, look, we have addressed AI so many different times throughout the very short time. We've only been doing this for like 6, 7 months now, right? The end of July, and we have addressed AI, how it's going to transform um, workers' lives by basically transplanting. It's going to replace workers in many, many cases, and it already is. We're already seeing job losses. But also, it's being used particularly by billionaires to consolidate our data. That's what Doge was about. Doge was not about saving money, didn't save any money, but they consolidated all the data that was kept in separate agencies and consolidated it, and Trump handed it over to Peter Thiel and Palantir, which is a massive, massive, massive data collection and AI system. And they are creating profiles on every American. And now you have our own state, a blue state, being governed by a Democrat, working with a billionaire, and he's a Trump supporting billionaire. Am I correct on that?
I have no idea. I really
I
don't
I
know. I don't
I,
know
I
much
thought you
about the
said
guy.
that.
No, no,
All
I
right.
don't know much about the guy. I tried to do some research on him. He seems to be a very quiet guy. He does a lot of business in a lot of different countries. Um, he mainly in local law enforcement in the local law enforcement space. He has been working hard to get more into government contracts. Stuff like this allows him to, but I think, what we need is listen, I think if you have a warrant and you're out investigating somebody, okay, then maybe having access to that type of information is okay, but to have access to that information whenever, wherever you are, and when you want,
Think we need a
there's got to be
yeah,
protections put in place.
that's exactly what I was getting to because that's what's happening. They've consolidated all of our data. They can make a profile on each and every one of us at any time. And the federal government can, and now the state government can. And it's tied to your I find it very shocking that if your license is revoked, you could potentially lose voting rights and immigration status. Like, there would need to be a law in place that says if your license is revoked, the punishment is voting rights are removed. Like, there needs to be something on the books. It can't just be arbitrary.
DMV Modernization Act.
It's in there? I'll have to look that
All
up.
that stuff is in there. Like, listen, I there was so
It's tied to voting.
every
Everything is tied. They wanna take away our vote.
here's what I'm gonna here's the funniest part, right? So the only reason why this stuck out at me was like 15 years ago. Again, my memory, I don't know why, right? There was a Jon Stewart episode, and Jon Stewart had somebody on, right? And they were talking about some like QAnon conspiracy theory, okay, right? About like government overreach. Like it had something to do with like the microchips, right? Like, like they had the everybody was being implanted with microchips, right? By Bill Gates, right? No fucking lie. Okay. And
I've heard that before.
the guy he was interviewing laughed and he says they're not going to do that. If they really wanted to know where you're doing what you're doing, they would just go right through the DMV. DMV has everything. Right? Like and it was like a joke, right? Like it was like offhanded joke. He was like the DMV has everything and because everybody hates the DMV and because the DMV is so backwards, nobody would even know if you went through the DMV, right? Like, I remember that conversation. I wish I could pull it up and tell you, like, this is the guy and this is the conversation. Maybe one of our listeners remembers that, or maybe somebody from
Yeah,
the Daily Show
post a
could
link.
tell us, right? But like it stuck out my head, and I'm sitting there in this training class listening to this, and I'm saying to myself, "Man, that guy was fucking right."
I said this when I had, Don on the show. I said QAnon got a few things right. We all thought QAnon was a bunch of mental crazies, and, like, some of the shit they were the ones who told everybody about Epstein, right? There's some evil governmental cabal of pedophiles. It's just like
there's
you had the
always
wrong team.
there's always truth in
In
every
conspiracy.
conspiracy. And
Yes,
every
yes.
conspiracy, there's always a semblance of truth lying underneath it because that semblance of truth is what gives the conspiracy theory credibility.
Right, right. I used to say that about, tabloids, supermarket tabloids, and then you find out some supermarket tabloids, some of this shit is actually real, you know? And so, yeah. Oh, so, yeah, big brother, big sister is fucking watching through the DMV right now, folks. Um, if you're here in New York, tell us what you think. What do you think? And you know what? This is the time to push back. Now, sadly, I wish there was like a strong Mom Donnie like candidate, grassroots candidate that could possibly primary Hochul, but I really don't want to vote for Blakeman um, at all because he's a hard on Trumper. We don't want that, but we should.
It's right, right. Like this is what us Democrats always say, or I'm not a
Lesser of
Democrat, but
two.
I'm going to say you Democrats always say, right? It's the lesser. You guys have to vote for the lesser of two evils.
No, what we need is we need a third option. We need a candidate that, and it's just like, and Delgado
This is
ain't the
what I keep
guy.
saying. This is what
Yeah,
I keep
this.
saying, though. This is what I keep saying to people
Well, then go
is,
run. We'll vote for
you
you.
know, it's just, listen, I ran, I lost. It's fine. People didn't like what
I
what
think
I
that
had to
was
say.
rigged. That was
You know,
rigged.
I listen, it is what it is. You try to tell people the truth. You try to show people the direction that things are going in, right? When these things impact them, right? When somebody gets a ticket, okay, and then all of a sudden their license is revoked and they say, but that shouldn't have been that many points. And AI looked back to your record 15 years ago and saw you got a speeding ticket 15 years ago and then tax that on to your points to give you the maximum, right? You're going to come complaining going, how did this happen? And I'm here telling you exactly how it happened. Okay? It like this again, it's great to have modernization. It is great to that technology makes our lives easier. Okay? We have to put the guardrails in place. Okay? And we have to know what we're doing to put those guardrails in place. And what you have are politicians running face first into the wall, right?
Yes. Great description.
Because you had the Wile E. Coyote or whoever painting on the wall, right? Like I'm sorry, the Roadrunner ran in a different direction. I mean, it fucking kills me. But this is what I don't understand. This is why I say sometimes, as government, you have to be more deliberative. You have to understand what it is that you're looking at and doing, right? These guys are like, yeah, we need to modernize the DMV. They don't read the fucking bills. They don't know what the hell's going in it. They don't talk to the companies to find out what's actually happening. They run ahead. They say, we're going to do this great thing for everybody. Everybody's going to love it, right? And then next thing you know, Big Brother is tracking you everywhere you go. And you don't even know it. And you don't even know who has that information.
Right, because Fast Enterprises is a private contractor. And it's not the first time we've seen personal information removed from the government and handed over to a private contractor,
And
as in
again, I'm
Palantir.
I'm not making any accusations against this guy, but what we saw, like, listen, we know that Peter Thiel is in the Epi files, right?
Oh, yeah.
That has been established. That facial
Hmm.
recognition, who's getting that feed? Who has access to that feed? We're saying, oh yeah, only law, your politicians will say only law enforcement or only this, and it's only with this, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Okay? Right? I'm sick and tired of this nonsense. We know that these guys are doing nefarious stuff. We know that these guys have access, more access than they should to things. This is why I said in my last video, right? If you go back to it, we need an Epstein tax, right? We need an Epstein bill that bars, right, anybody who did business with Epstein from doing any business with the state. Okay, right? End of story. Period. And then we need another Epstein retirement bill that bars any financial institution that did business with Epstein from managing public funds.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Having those three bills to start and then having protections on the other side, right? Where we know exactly who has access to what and when and how that information is going to be used. Okay. That needs to be established.
Right. Yeah. That's what we have to do. And we need candidates that want to that want to put these laws in place. And that's what so look, we got some goals. We're putting goals out for you guys. What do you think? Love to hear your comments on this one.
Right. I'm not
Definitely.
listen, I'm not just sitting here giving you stuff, right? I'm telling you laws that can be put in place tomorrow that that our politicians could do tomorrow and they're choosing not to. And if we put pressure on our politicians, maybe they'll do them.
Yeah.
Say, this is
Yeah.
what we want. Instead of calling it a wealth tax, right, which everybody seems to be against because everybody thinks that they're wealthy. Check the Epstein files. Are you in the Epstein files? No, great. Epstein tax. Now you're not getting taxed. Now only the people in the Epstein files are getting taxed, which are the billionaires
time.
anyway, which is not you. So there you
Yeah.
go.
So we're going to wrap this up here. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. You know we love you. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. And we will be back in the next segment. See you soon. Take care.
Peace out.